Do your consumer marketing efforts feel complicated? Experian Automotive delivers data-driven marketing solutions to find new customers and keep loyal ones. Drive measurable results with trusted data and expert support. Learn more at Experian.com/automotive.
Hey, it's Jamie here in Detroit. On today's bonus episode of Daily Drive, we'll hear from A2MAC1 CEO Patrick Katenkamp about how the French automotive tech firm is building its presence in the U.S. But first, lots of twists and turns this week when it comes to tariffs and how they affect auto parts. Our own Rudy Schork and Hannah Lutz talk about the latest.
Can you explain the difference between these reciprocal and trafficking tariffs versus the more familiar 25% auto tariffs and parts tariffs?
Sure, it can be really confusing. So the reciprocal tariffs are the country by country tariffs on most goods, and the trafficking tariffs were implemented to reduce drug trafficking. Viewers may know them as the fentanyl tariffs, and they apply only to Canada, Mexico, and China, the trafficking tariffs. The auto and auto parts tariffs are called sectoral tariffs, which means they are tariffs for industries. So some other industries have them too, like steel and aluminum, for example. There is one caveat to the auto side. A specific list of auto parts falls under that sectoral tariff, the industry tariff, but many parts are not on that list. So the parts that are not on the list are subject to the reciprocal tariffs by country, and that's why this latest ruling, these couple of rulings, affect the auto industry.
What exactly did the courts rule? And why is the appeals court's quick reversal so significant?
So first, the U.S. Court of International Trade ruled on May 28th that the reciprocal tariffs and the tariffs to reduce drug trafficking were unconstitutional. The Trump administration quickly appealed on the same day, and by May 29th, a day later, a U.S. Court of Appeals temporarily reinstated the reciprocal and trafficking tariffs. So for now, those tariffs are in effect. It's significant because it was such a quick reaction. The Trump administration appealed, and a U.S. Court of Appeals responded quickly and temporarily reinstated those tariffs.
Let's talk industry reaction. What are you hearing from suppliers right now?
Yesterday, I talked with Colin Shaw from MEMA, which represents suppliers, and he really emphasized that it's a wait and see situation. I actually talked with him before the appeals court reinstated the tariffs, so he was right. It was a wait and see situation, and he urged the industry and suppliers to be patient and kind of, run as usual as they have been the past several weeks with these tariffs on the table, and then figure out what the final outcome will be when it comes.
In your story, you mentioned that parts like door handles, hood panels, and ECUs might have temporarily become duty-free. Is that still possible depending on what happens next?
Yeah, it's definitely still possible. Right now, they are not duty-free because of the appeals court decision, but that was a temporary reinstatement. There's still more steps that need to be taken. So depending on their final decision, they could become duty-free.
And where do we go from here? What should the industry be watching between now and those key dates in June?
So the plaintiffs have to respond by June 5th and the administration a few days later, June 9th. And then at some point after that, the court will make a ruling. Right now, the industry is sort of in a holding pattern and responding to the tariffs as they have been so far. No changes until there's another decision.
As of now, President Trump's 25% tariffs on imported vehicles and certain key auto parts remain unchanged. But the court fight over broader global duties and their impact on everyday parts moving across borders is far from over. Stay tuned to automotivenews.com for the latest updates. And don't miss the Congress Conversation live stream on June 3rd, where this topic will be front and center.
Coming up, our own Pete Bigelow talks with Patrick Katenkamp, CEO of French auto tech company A2MAC1.
Are you an automotive marketer navigating today's rapidly evolving landscape? Finding new customers and nurturing existing relationships can feel like a complex journey. But what if you had a powerful engine fueled by trusted data to guide your way? That's where Experian Automotive comes in. We understand the challenges you face. Today's personalized consumer journeys demand intelligent planning and precise execution. That's why we offer the Experian Marketing Engine, a coordinated suite of data-driven solutions designed to help you develop, execute, and most importantly, measure effective marketing campaigns. At the heart of our solutions is Experian's trusted data and a dedicated automotive team committed to your success. We empower you to drive measurable results with unique data insights, including Identity solutions to help you better connect with your ideal customers with greater accuracy by cleaning and enriching your first-party data. Consumer and market insights helps you gain a deeper understanding of market trends and consumer behavior, enabling you to better target consumers. Targeted audiences to help you pinpoint and target the right prospects at the right time with the right message. Better data truly connects you to better results. Stop guessing and start driving measurable impact with Experian Automotive. Ready to transform your automotive marketing? Visit Experian.com/automotive to learn how our data-driven solutions can help you find new customers, keep loyal ones, and navigate the road ahead with confidence. That's Experian.com/automotive. Take control of your marketing journey today.
Patrick, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for coming here.
You bet. Great setting here in Detroit for A2MAC1. How is the company kind of planting a flagpole in the US these days?
Yeah, I think when I started in October as a CEO, and I have worked a couple of times in Detroit over the last 20 years, and when I came here, I thought it's one of the key automotive places, and we are not enough present here. So we thought we need to make like you said, a pole or flag in the ground, and we organized the event. We have also now our office here in the building, and yeah, it's good to be back in the spot of Detroit.
Well, welcome back.
Thanks.
You mentioned you started as CEO back in October,
Yeah.
I think, of 24.
Yeah.
What was the appeal of joining the company, and what course are you charting?
Yeah, I think when the owners reached out to me and we had some discussions, I thought, okay, automotive is not the easiest spot at the moment with all the changes. But when I looked then more on A2MAC1, I was very intrigued about the amount of data, of insights they have on the engineering side. And then I think in the times of AI, that's a very appealing starting point. And you have a lot of change in the industry. So I think I saw that very well positioned. And
for those who don't know the company so well, benchmarking and moving more into data analytics, is that the
so we do car benchmarking. So we in principle build a digital twin of a car, which we have then in our platform, and the OEMs can subscribe to that and see that. And then we do like cost benchmarking, now also sustainability on CO2 and all the engineering. And I think that's a great foundation for, let's say, developing AI tools to make the design processes and things like that faster.
How many cars do you have data on? If I want to benchmark, how many models can I compare?
We have probably 1,200 cars in our database, and we add every year between 60 and 100 new cars. And then we pick obviously the most trendy technology cars or innovations to have them in.
This is obviously a really uncertain time in the auto industry. You have a lot of automakers and suppliers kind of reevaluating their own supply chains. Is this an advantageous time for a company like yours because they can use your tools to do this? Yeah,
I think, because with us they get very quickly insights in what's happening, what are the Chinese doing, what is Huawei doing and others. And I think also, in terms of with the uncertainty changes in the supply chain, we can help, and we did just also there a study. What does it mean between Mexico, China, and the US? What is the cost impact? And you can play different scenarios. And I think for us, we get a lot of inbound at the moment.
All right, you mentioned what are the Chinese doing. That's a really interesting topic here at your conference today. I know you were in Shanghai just a few short weeks ago, really diving into that topic. So give me some highlights from your trip, and what are the Chinese doing that you saw?
Yeah, I have worked since 2005 in China. I lived there a while, and for a long period, I think everybody thought, and I think it was also true, that quality-wise, and so it's copies, they are not on the same level, but they really catched up. And I think what I have seen over the last years is a lot of them, they see the car more like a device, and they have a different attitude to a car and to the electronics and the software, and they think more in mobile phones, product cycles of 6 months, 12 months, not 5 years. And there's a very, very different dynamic. And they take a lot of risk to deploy new technology, try new technology. And I think in the classic Western world, we need to stretch us and to accelerate.
I think there's been a realization, at least here in Detroit, in recent months, if not over the last year, that the Chinese have caught up and that they're ahead. One of my takeaways from the conference today that I thought was really insightful was A2MAC1 really had data and specifics on how the Chinese have caught up. Can you give us an overview on what they're doing that the Western world can learn from?
I mean, at first, as you said, I mean, one of our biggest centers now is in Shanghai. And I mean, there's not one trick what they do, but I think they have the advantage. What you also see with some of the US new players, if you take Tesla or Rivian or Lucid, they started greenfield. They are not carrying a 20-year or 30-year or 40-year history with them. And in some of the technology changes, it's easier to start fresh than try to adapt what you have always done. And there the Chinese, as Rivian or others, have an advantage. And I think then the topic is they focused a lot on batteries, on the electronics, on the assisted driving, and that are areas where they are really good in. I mean, if I compare also, let's say, some Western cars or the car I'm driving in comparison to Chinese, from the infotainment, the mobile connection, how you voice to speech, and so it's good. I mean, they have done a lot of progress there.
One of my takeaways from the conference today would be what we perceive as premium or luxury in the Western world might be the standard mass market model in China.
Yeah, I think also to put things into perspective, I think if you take the quality of the car itself, I think whether you take GM or Ford or BMW or so, I think we're still ahead in a lot of things. If you go into the electronics, the software, the assisted driving, there I think they overtook. And I think it's now, and I think also it's no reason to be pessimistic, but I think it's time to redefine, to stretch, and to accelerate, and not continue doing what we have done the last 10 or 20 years.
Patrick, one of the other big topics here today, obviously tariffs, and that's the 800-pound gorilla in the auto industry. Yeah. High-level overview. How do you see reactions from automakers overall, or how are they adjusting their business strategies at this point?
I mean, I don't think there is one reaction, because even if you take different German or French automakers, they are differently positioned in the US. Some have a lot of strong manufacturing footprint here, others not. So it's not one situation. I think we for example, looked also on some of the manufacturers who said they have a very US footprint. That's true, but if you look one or two levels further down into the subsystems, a lot of them are still from Asia. And even if they manufacture here, still the cost will increase. And I think also, yes, they will adapt, but I think also to adapt a supply chain which you have built up over 10 or 15 years, you cannot change that in 6 months. And so I think, like always, the industry will react quicker than you think, but it will take some time.
And in the meantime, the industry has your data to rely on to make informed decisions.
Yeah, and we have a lot of discussions at the moment. What are scenarios? How could you do that? And things like that.
Any last word, Patrick?
Yeah, no, I mean, as I said, I mean, we are happy to be strongly with a great team back here in Detroit. And as also our head of sales said before when we met, I mean, we want to get also the community of, I mean, suppliers, OEMs, I mean, new ideas, new innovation, more together, and facilitate a bit more the next step in that direction.
All right, welcome back to Detroit. And
thank you.
Look forward to talking again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to this bonus episode of Daily Drive. We'll be back on Monday with a brand new full episode of the show.